Drake just moved over $2 million in a single night, and the way he moved it may be the most calculated brand play any rapper has ever pulled in modern hip-hop history, and by the end of this video, that statement is going to hit even harder than it hits right now. Before we take a single step further into it, I hope every one of you watching is having a good one, because for the sideline crowd and the naysayers that we are going to answer today along the way, this is going to sting a little. And listen, this is going to be one of those videos. Maybe one of the most important breakdowns I have put together on this channel in a long time, because we are not just talking about a rap star throwing gifts around at a party in Toronto. We are talking about the exact moment an artist stopped acting like an artist and started moving like an empire. So before we get any deeper, do me a favor and drop a like on this video, and really drop the like, because more than half of the people who watch on this channel are not even subscribed yet, and I want us to move as one unit today. And after you do that, keep the tab open, because the details you are about to hear about the night Drake staged in Toronto, the gifts, the strategy, the message hidden underneath the whole thing, the reason it was aimed specifically at Black women in business, and the way it plugs into every other move Drake has made in the last 3 weeks are going to reframe the way you look at the entire back half of his career. Now check this. Over the past 3 weeks, Drake has staged 3 back-to-back-to-back events that, if you line them up next to each other, start to look less like a promotional run and more like the public launch of an entire lifestyle republic. There was the Knocka Manor gathering, held on a private estate, dressed like a members-only weekend, with padel courts, basketball courts, curated menus, and a guest list that read like the front row of a magazine. There was the OVO Charity Golf Classic, staged in a country club setting, with polos, caddies, cause pledges, and a level of production that most rappers would not even attempt for their own album rollouts. And then last night, the 3rd annual Strong Women Stronger Drinks, an evening in Toronto where the doors opened, the lights went low, and Drake stepped forward with something no rap star of his tier has ever done in public. A $2 million gesture aimed squarely at the women in his community, most of them Black women, most of them business owners. Most of them the exact demographic that a specific corner of the internet has spent years trying to tell you Drake does not care about. And here is the wild part. It was not just a party. It was not just a photo op. It was not just a giveaway. It was a design document, delivered in real time, in front of cameras, for what the Drake business looks like once the music slows down. Let me walk you through it, because the details matter, and the details are the entire story. Strong Women Stronger Drinks is not a new event, and this is a piece the timeline keeps missing. Drake has been running it annually, and the origin story goes back further than most people realize. Back in the late 2000s, there was a Toronto event called What Women Want, curated by a woman named Chenitson, and the concept was simple and radical at the same time. Women gathered to network, to build, to celebrate one another. And if you were a man in the room, you were not a guest. You were staff. You worked the event. You made sure the women were taken care of. That was the whole point. That was the ethic of the room. And Drake, on the mic last night, said it in his own words. He took that concept, he elevated it, and he rebuilt it into what Strong Women Stronger Drinks has now become: a room full of business owners, creators, community leaders. And the man on the mic in Toronto shows up not to headline, but to serve. That is a specific kind of packaging. That is not accidental. That is engineered. And when you know the origin of the ritual, you understand that Drake is not inventing a new event. He is preserving a Toronto tradition that predates his own mainstream career. And he is pouring modern money into it at a scale the original event could never have supported. And this is where the $2 million number stops being about a number and starts being about a message. Because Drake did not just walk out with a check and take a photo. He did not tweet the amount and vanish. He did not brand a foundation, cut a ribbon, and disappear. He handed out $50,000 business investments to 10 women, one after another, live in the room, in front of the cameras. 10 women. $50,000 each. That is $500,000 parked directly into the hands of Black women entrepreneurs in Toronto, in one night, in one room, on one stage. And he did not stop there. He raffled off a Birkin, which anyone in the fashion world will tell you is not just a bag. It is a wait list. It is a status object. It is a decade of cultural signaling compressed into leather. He raffled off a G-Wagon, which is not just a truck. It is the default vehicle of a certain tier of arrival. He raffled off a 2026 S-Class Mercedes Maybach, which is the sedan people buy when they no longer need to explain to anyone what they do for a living. Real gifts. Real keys. Real reactions. And when you watch the footage from that room, the women receiving those keys are not performing for a camera. One of them is on the floor. One of them is crying. One of them is screaming, "This is my car." One of them is holding the winning raffle ticket up like it is a lottery slip from a life she did not think she was going to live yet, saying, "On my son's life, I picked my ticket and now I have a G-Wagon." And Drake is standing off to the side, smiling, because he already knew. He is the one who wrote this script. He is the one who staged the reveals. He is the one who timed the reactions. He is the one who chose the room, the lighting, the seating, the pours, and the sequence in which every gift was going to hit. So drop a comment below and tell me, name one other artist in this genre pulling this kind of play at this kind of scale in this window. I will wait. Because I have been looking, and I am not seeing anyone else giving away $50,000 a woman, 10 women deep, in a single evening on top of the luxury cars, on top of the accessories, on top of the community pledges, on top of the cause donations. If somebody out there is doing it, put me on. Drop the name in the comments. I want to cover them. I want to give them the same lens. But until you find one, sit with the possibility that Drake, right now, in this window, in this city, on this schedule, is doing something the culture has not fully processed yet. And it is going to be very embarrassing to watch the discourse catch up to it 2 years from now, the way it always does, when the people who called it a stunt suddenly remember they always saw it coming. Because here is the piece that most people are going to miss, and this is where the whole breakdown pivots. This is not charity. This is not PR. This is not damage control. This is not a mea culpa dressed up as a gift bag. This is a brand blueprint. And to understand what Drake is actually packaging, you have to zoom out and look at what those 3 events have in common. Knocka Manor. OVO Charity Golf. Strong women, stronger drinks. Line them up on a whiteboard. What is the shared substance? It is not just music. It is not just money. It is not even just community. It is lifestyle. Every single one of those events is a controlled release of a specific atmosphere. A manor. A golf course. A gala. Fine dressing. Fine drinks. Fine bags. Fine cars. Fine company. Fine framing. Fine flowers. Fine glassware. Fine music between the moments. And the man himself, in every single one of those rooms, is not on the stage begging for attention. He is orchestrating the room. He is the host. He is the curator. He is the architect. He is the one deciding which door opens first and which door closes last. That right there is how a mogul moves. Not a rapper. A mogul. Now let me be very clear about what I am seeing, because I want you to see it too, and I want you to see it in high definition. Drake, over the last 15 years, has been quietly building an ecosystem, and the pieces are already public if you have been paying attention. You already know them. OVO Sound, the label he founded with his people in Toronto, that has released catalogs from Pierre Wine XDDOR, from Majid Jordan. From an entire roster that in aggregate probably outperforms the roster of a mid-tier major label imprint. October's very own, the fashion arm that has gone from small batch drops in one Toronto storefront to a global street warehouse with stores in New York, London, Vancouver, Los Angeles, and Toronto, moving arena-tier apparel at prices that put it in direct competition with the mid-luxury heritage brands. NOCTA, the Nike partnership that turned into one of the most consistent athleisure imprints of the decade, a line that started with basketball-adjacent silhouettes and is now stretching into golf wear, into pedal court wear, into technical outerwear, into sneakers with Kevin Durant, into a category the rest of the athleisure world is still trying to figure out how to enter. Better World Fragrance House, the candle and scent division that took the affordable luxury idea and gave it a shelf, with candles that sit somewhere between the mass market and the boutique perfumery. priced in a way that invites the fan base into the same room as the collector. And now, laid on top of all of that infrastructure, the events, the manor, the course, the gala, the showroom nights. And this is where the picture snaps shut. Because Drake is not selling songs anymore. He is selling the room the song plays in. Here is the wild part. Once the album cycle slows down, and every artist who has been at Drake's altitude for this long knows the album cycle eventually slows down, because it slowed down for Jay-Z, it slowed down for Kanye, it slowed down for Eminem. It slows down for everybody once the physics of a 15-year career catches up. What do you actually sell to people? What is the product? What is the thing the customer walks away with? And Drake, I believe, has already answered that question, and he has been answering it in public for months. The product is the atmosphere. The product is the invitation. The product is the badge that says, I am part of this world. And once you understand that, every gift bag at Strong Women Stronger Drink starts to make sense. Every candle in Better World starts to make sense. Every hoodie under NOCTA starts to make sense. Every polo at the Golf Classic starts to make sense. Every raffle ticket at the gala starts to make sense. It is not a merch drop. It is not a giveaway. It is a membership program disguised as a night out. Let me push this even deeper, because the sideline crowd is going to say this is just marketing dressed up in a suit, and they would be wrong, and they would be wrong for a very specific reason. Marketing sells you a product. What Drake is doing is selling you a life. There is a difference, and the difference is enormous. When you buy a NOCTA piece, you are not buying fabric. You are buying the version of yourself that walks into a room in that fabric. When you light a Better World candle in your apartment, you are not buying wax. You are buying the illusion that your apartment is the kind of apartment where somebody like Drake would sit down and pour a drink. When you show up to an OVO golf event, you are not showing up for a sport. You are showing up for a photograph you can hang inside your own life. When you get an invitation to Strong Women Stronger Drinks, you are not showing up to receive gifts. You are showing up to become one of the 10 women whose name gets whispered in every group chat in Toronto for the next 6 months. That is the play. That is the whole play. That is the entire mechanism. And here is where the whole thing gets even smarter. Drake did not build this in a vacuum. Drake built this alongside a rotation of collaborators who are already operating at that same lifestyle altitude, and every collaboration reinforces the ecosystem. The NOCTA rollout with Kevin Durant, which crosses basketball authenticity with fashion authority. The Nike design partnerships that push athleisure into sneakers, into golf, into pedal, into anywhere a paying customer wants to feel expensive. The fragrance work under Better World that positions candles as everyday luxury without the price tag of a diptyque or a Byredo. The event production work that borrows from the visual grammar of Toronto's fine dining scene, of Toronto's fashion scene, of Toronto's design scene. And then the events themselves, which serve as the physical showroom for the entire ecosystem, where the customer can literally walk through the vibe and buy in with their own body. Every element reinforces every other element. This is not a stack of side businesses. This is a single, coordinated, tightly woven brand play, and every move Drake has made in the last 3 weeks is a chapter of the same book. Now I want to slow down here, because there is a piece of last night's event that I do not want anybody to skip past, and it is the piece that separates a brand from a benefactor. Drake, on stage, in front of the room, said this: the women in the front row were not just guests. They were creators. They were business owners. They were people he respects, appreciates, and is grateful for. And then he did the thing that only somebody thinking about legacy would do. He said he would personally contribute $100,000 to each of their separate causes. Not the raffle. Not the $50,000 business note. On top of that, on top of everything, that is $1 million distributed to the causes of 10 women in one moment from one man on one stage in one city in one night. Not a foundation with overhead. Not a matching gift structure with fine print. Not a pledge over 5 years. Direct. Immediate. Visible. Documented. And he did not stand there and rattle off numbers. He did not brag about his portfolio. He did not talk about the stakes he owns in casinos or streaming platforms or bets he placed on Sunday Night Football. He simply invested. In them. In their businesses. In their causes. In the city. In the community. And then he stepped back and let the room absorb what he had just done. Because he understood something most artists never learn. The size of the gesture is measured by how quietly you can walk away from it after the check clears. That right there is how a mogul moves. Not a rapper. A mogul. Here is the joke of it. For years, a specific corner of the internet has tried to paint Drake as someone who does not respect the women who show up for him, who does not respect the black women who have carried him through record cycles, who does not respect the communities that raised his catalog to the numbers it hits. That has been the ambient narrative for years. It has been repeated in every discourse cycle. It has been recycled on every panel show. It has been retreaded in every bar of every diss cycle. And last night, in one evening, on one stage, in one city, in one 3-hour window, Drake made a very expensive, very public, very direct answer to that narrative. Not with a tweet. Not with a caption. Not with a sub. Not with a soundbite in an interview. With $500,000 in direct business investment. With a Maybach. With a G-Wagon. With a Birkin. With $100,000 a cause, 10 causes deep. In a room where the men, by design, were not the guests, the men were the staff. Serving. Working. Making sure the women were taken care of. On purpose. So now, ask yourself, honestly, is that the behavior of a man who does not respect black women, or is that the behavior of a man who has been quietly building a business model that puts them at the center of his most public rooms? You know the answer. Everybody in that room knew the answer. And the cameras did too. And every group chat in Toronto knew it before the sun came up. Now here is the deeper move, and this is where I want the analysis to earn its keep. Because a lot of artists, historically, have done community givebacks. Some of them are documented. Some of them are quiet. Some of them are legendary. You can build a full essay on Nipsey's investments in Crenshaw, on LeBron's I Promise School, on Rihanna's Clara Lionel Foundation, on Jay-Z's Sean Carter Foundation, on Beyoncé's Bay Good program. But I have not, in my time watching this industry, seen a giver's architecture design like this, designed specifically to be the front porch of an entire luxury ecosystem, designed to be recurring, designed to be thematic, designed to plug directly into the fashion label, the fragrance house, the sports partnerships, and the physical showroom of the brand. And I want you to sit with that for a second. Drake did not build a foundation, cut a ribbon, take a photo, and disappear. Drake built an event series that is recurring, annual, thematic, and directly integrated into the brand verticals he already owns. That is the design of somebody who has been reading the second act of the Mogul playbook while everybody else was still arguing about first week numbers. And here is where the whole thing snaps shut. If you are Drake, and you have already conquered the streaming era, and you have already conquered the arena era, and you have already conquered the crossover era, and you have already conquered the streaming catalog longevity era, what is left? What is the next mountain? What is the next scoreboard? The answer is ownership. Ownership of the environment the customer walks into. Ownership of the fragrance in the room. Ownership of the fabric on the customer's back. Ownership of the drink in the customer's hand. Ownership of the car the customer drives away in. Ownership of the invitation the customer receives in the mail. Ownership of the story the customer tells for the next 12 months. That is where this is going. That is the endgame. And Strong Women Stronger Drinks, Knocka Manor, and the OVO Golf Charity event are not standalone events. They are showroom weekends for a lifestyle republic that is being built in real time, in front of our eyes, on our timelines, and most of us have been too busy arguing about anthems to notice. I want to zoom in one more time on the details, because the details are where the strategy lives, and the details are where most breakdowns fail. Look at the gifts. A Birkin is not a gift, it is a status marker with a waitlist longer than most careers. A G-Wagon is not a car, it is a signal, a shorthand for a certain tier of arrival that everybody in every big city understands the moment it pulls up. A Maybach S-Class is not transportation, it is a statement about what class of arrival is possible in your life if you happen to be in this room on this night. $50,000 in a business investment is not a check, it is a bet on somebody's next 12 months, it is a runway extender. It is the difference between an entrepreneur who has to compromise on scale and an entrepreneur who gets to pick their own timeline. And $100,000 into a woman's cause is not a donation. It is Drake attaching his name to the future of that cause, permanently, in a way that will be quoted every time that cause gets covered for the rest of its lifespan. Every gift in that room was engineered to say something about the giver, not just the receiver. Every gift was a brand deposit. Every gift was a chapter of the same book. And the book is called, "This is what luxury looks like when the person building it actually knows the community it comes from." Now let's talk about the room itself. Because this is a piece the naysayers keep missing, and it is the piece that reframes every other criticism. Strong Women Stronger Drinks was populated, front to back, by Black women. Business owners. Creators. Community leaders. Women who own the kind of enterprises that do not always make it onto Forbes covers, but absolutely move culture. Women who employ people. Women who create jobs. Women who raise money for other women. Women whose businesses feed neighborhoods. And the room was not decorated for the outside world. It was decorated for them. The lighting, the pours, the seating, the gift bags, the raffle sequence, the presentation of the checks, the flow of the evening from arrival to reveal to departure, every design decision in that room was aimed at making those specific women feel seen. Not photographed. Seen. And the money followed the vision. $500,000 in direct business investment. $1 million more in cause-specific donations. Luxury cars. Luxury accessories. Luxury access. And Drake working the room, in black, playing the exact role the original What Women Want event required of the men who attended it. That is not lip service. That is not a fashion moment. That is a design brief being executed, faithfully, at scale, on camera, with receipts. Here is where I want to push back on one more piece, because I hear it every time this conversation comes up, and I want to answer it directly. Somebody in the comments right now is typing that this is all PR. That this is all optics. That this is all a strategic play to defuse the narrative about Drake's relationship with women, especially Black women, especially in a moment when his cultural competitors have been leaning hard on that talking point in the pop discourse. And listen, let's play that idea out. Let's take that criticism at face value. Even if that were the full picture, which it is not, but even if it were, what has actually happened on the ground is that Black women entrepreneurs in Toronto walked out of that room with life-changing money. Their businesses got funded. Their causes got funded. Their futures got a runway they did not have 24 hours earlier. Their families got a cushion. Their teams got salaries. Their inventories got restocked. Their next launches got underwritten. So if that is optics, then hip-hop needs a lot more of those optics, because those optics come with wire transfers and vehicle titles. Those optics come with checks that cleared. Those optics come with community outcomes you can measure with your own eyes. Those optics come with paperwork. Those optics come with tax filings. Those optics come with receipts that will still be in the archive 10 years from now. And the naysayers, the sideline crowd, they can call it whatever they want. The receipts are already on the ground. The money already moved. The women already own the cars. The businesses already got the injection. The causes already got the checks. The internet argument does not unfund what got funded. And here is the truth about what Drake is doing, and I want to say this in the plainest way possible so nobody can miss it. He is playing a longer game than the internet is measuring. He is not fighting for streams this week. He is not fighting for a first-week number this month. He is not even fighting for a Grammy nomination this year. He is building the infrastructure that keeps him relevant for the next 25 years. Because the artists who last, the artists who build generational wealth, the artists who transition from performers into moguls, they all figured out the same trick at some point in their careers. They figured out that you do not sell songs forever. You sell the world the songs live in. Jay-Z figured it out with Rock Nation, with the sports agency, with the streaming stake. Diddy tried it with the fashion house and the vodka and the water, and the parts that worked because they mirrored a lifestyle. Rihanna refined it with Fenty Beauty and Savage X Fenty, and turned a discography into a beauty empire that quietly dwarfs the discography. And Drake, right now, in real time, is running the most patient, most disciplined, most vertically integrated version of that playbook that hip-hop has ever produced. And he is running it while a large chunk of the audience is still measuring him against a scoreboard that does not apply to him anymore. Now check this, because I need everyone watching to hear this piece clearly, and I need you to sit with it. The events are not the product. The gifts are not the product. The cars are not the product. Even the money is not the product. The product is the story that spreads outward from that room, into your feed, into your algorithm, into your group chat, into your imagination. And the story is very simple. It is the story that says, in Toronto, on a random night, one artist can gather 10 women, fund their businesses, fund their causes, give them the kind of gifts you see in movies, and walk out of the room without asking for anything back except the room's participation. That is a story that sells everything else. That is a story that sells the candle, and the hoodie, and the sneaker, and the invitation, and the album, and the ticket, and the tour, and the merch, and the next event. That is the flywheel. That is the machine. That is the compounding return on a $2 million deposit. And that is why, when you see Drake at Knocka Manor, playing padel in a Manor jacket, you are not looking at a rapper unwinding, you are looking at a founder demonstrating the product. That is why, when you see Drake at the OVO Charity Golf Classic, you are not looking at a rapper hobbying, you are looking at a founder testing the market. That is why, when you see Drake at Strong Women's Stronger Drinks, you are not looking at a rapper giving back, you are looking at a founder onboarding customers, ambassadors, and evangelists into a lifestyle republic that he intends to run for the rest of his career. Every appearance is a fitting. Every guest list is a beta test. Every gift bag is a product sample. Every raffle is a data point. Every hug is a case study. Here is one more layer, because I do not want to leave anything on the table, and this is the piece that separates the deep read from the surface read. Watch how Drake positions himself physically in that room. He is not center stage the whole night. He is not delivering a monologue. He is not making the moment about the size of his own gesture. He steps up to the mic when a check needs to be presented, and then he steps back into the crowd. He circulates. He hugs. He listens. He takes photographs on other people's terms, in other people's rooms, at other people's tables, at other people's angles. That is not a coincidence of personality. That is a design choice. Because the customer experience Drake is building requires him to be present, but not dominant. Approachable, but not diminished. In the room, but not above the room. Near the moment, but not consuming it. And this is the exact posture that turns a celebrity into a founder. Ask anyone who has ever built a brand from scratch. They will tell you the founder who dominates the room kills the brand, and the founder who elevates the room grows the brand. Drake, apparently, has been reading that chapter for years and running the exercises in real time in every room he steps into. Let me put a finer point on this, because I do not want any of you to leave without the full picture. Drake is doing 3 things simultaneously, and each one of them, on its own, would be a career-defining move for a different artist. He is running a fully integrated fashion and lifestyle house across streetwear, athleisure, fragrance, and accessories. He is running a music label and catalog that continues to move at scale even outside of his own album cycles. And he is running a public event series that binds his community to those verticals through direct financial investment and direct community outcomes. 3 simultaneous operating stacks. 3 simultaneous revenue engines. 3 simultaneous cultural touchpoints. All coordinated. All feeding each other. All feeding the same story. And every single one of them keeps working even on the days when Drake does not release music. So let's just add this all together one more time, because I want the picture to be complete when we get to the end of this video. Over the past 3 weeks, Drake has staged 3 events that, taken together, function as a public demonstration of the Drake lifestyle stack. He has invested directly in Black women entrepreneurs at a scale we have not seen from an artist of his tier. He has funded community causes at a level that is not usual for this industry. He has integrated his events with his fashion label, with his fragrance house, with his sports partnerships, with his cultural partnerships, and with his physical presence in his own city. He has done all of this while the wider conversation online has been fixated on album numbers and beef narratives. And he has done it in a way that leaves receipts, wire transfers, keys, titles, photos, videos, testimonials, business filings, cause pledges, guest lists. Every element of it is documented, and every element of it feeds the same story, the story of an artist who is finished asking to be validated by the charts and has started asking to be recognized as the operator of a lifestyle republic. And here's the closing beat, because I want to leave you with the question that I think matters most. If Drake is doing this in 2026, if he is running this playbook now, at this altitude, at this pace, what does the next 5 years look like? What does the next 10 look like? What happens when the music slows down and the ecosystem is fully mature? What happens when NOCTA is not just an athleisure line, but a full lifestyle house with home goods and travel accessories? What happens when Better World is not just a candle brand, but a scent, home, and hospitality vertical? What happens when the events are not just annual gatherings in Toronto, but a global calendar of showroom nights in Toronto, in London, in New York, in Lagos, in Paris, in Tokyo, in Dubai? What happens when the invitation to the room becomes the most valuable currency Drake sells, and the album becomes a bonus track underneath it? What happens when the fan base becomes the customer base, and the customer base becomes the community, and the community becomes the audience for a lifestyle republic that outlives the discography entirely? That is not a hypothetical. That is a runway. And it is being built, brick by brick, in front of all of us, on the timelines we scroll through every day. The mask is off, and the empire is real. And before we get to the comment section, I want to put one more piece of tape on the wall, because I think a lot of the audience is going to underestimate what happened last night if they only look at the dollar amount. $2 million is a headline number. It is a clean number. It is the kind of number that trends. But headline numbers are not what change careers, and they are not what change communities. What changes careers and what changes communities is what those numbers are attached to. And every single dollar that Drake moved in that room was attached to a name, a face, a business, a cause, a story, a family, a neighborhood, a chapter that keeps unfolding long after the lights in the ballroom go down. That is what a coordinated brand play looks like when it is done at this level. Not a check. A commitment. Not a photo. A paper trail. Not a moment, a movement. And when the analysts sit down in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, and they try to identify the exact night the Drake business tipped from music first to lifestyle first, this is the tape they are going to run back. This is the room they are going to freeze frame. This is the ballroom that is going to end up in the case study. And when the students in the marketing programs pull it up on a projector, they are not going to be studying the songs. They are going to be studying the seating chart. They're going to be studying the raffle order. They're going to be studying the way the man on the mic stepped back after every check. That is the lesson. That is the syllabus. So now I want to open the floor to you, and I mean it. Drop it in the comments. Have you ever seen an artist in this genre run a 3-event, $2 million, brand integrated, community embedded, luxury forward, women-centered playbook like this, in this window at this speed? With this level of coordination and this level of documentation? If you have, name it. I want to cover it. I want to give it the same lens. Because if there is a template out there that I am missing, put me on. And if there is not, if this is genuinely a first, if this is genuinely a new template being written in real time in a Toronto ballroom, then we owe it to ourselves, whether we like Drake or not, whether we like the music or not, whether we like the man or not, to acknowledge exactly what we are watching. What did you think of Strong Women Stronger Drinks? What did you think of the raffle? What did you think of the $50,000 business notes? What did you think of the $100,000 cause pledges? What did you think of the Maybach reveal? What did you think of the G-Wagon reveal? What did you think of the Birkin reveal? What advice would you give the artist as this ecosystem gets bigger and the events go global? Do you want more events? Do you want the calendar to go international? Do you want the ecosystem to expand into hospitality? Do you want a Drake hotel? Do you want a Drake club? Do you want a Drake city? Do you want the same event in your city next year? Whatever you are thinking, put it down below. I will be reading. I will be responding. I will be pulling from the comments for the next video, because this conversation is not finished. It is just starting. Until the next one, I appreciate every single one of you who made it this far. If you made it to this point, you are part of the community I am building here, and I do not take that lightly. On this channel, we do not just cover the music. We cover the business of the music, the architecture of the business, and the empires that get built when the music is only the beginning. Salute. Stay locked in. Hit the like on your way out. And go check the videos on the end screen right now. I am telling you, there is one on there that will change how you look at the next Drake move before the next Drake move even drops. End of script.